In this video, I'll share with you the recipe that I used to win the 2026 Australian Brewers Cup Championship. 2 weeks ago, I won the Australian Brewers Cup Championship in Melbourne, and I used this brewer right here, the Next Level Pulsar. Now, I generally don't think that brewers make a huge difference when it comes to brewing coffee, but there's a specific reason why I settled on this one. Actually, not just one, but 3 main reasons. The number one reason why I picked the Next Level Pulsar is because it has a valve that allows it to go from immersion to percolation. That means that when I pour water, I get to control the flow and make sure that the water can either stay inside of the brewer or go through it. If you're familiar with the switch from Hario, this is a similar process where you get to close the valve and make sure the coffee stays in the brewer with the water for a longer immersion, and then open it when you want to stop that immersion. The second reason why I love this brewer is because of the shower screen that it has on top. Now, this shower screen allows the water to be dispersing evenly, which gives extremely even and consistent brews, but it also helps mitigate the agitation that we have onto the brew bed. Now, less agitation usually tends to lead to less dryness into the cup, which is something that I particularly enjoy because I love using roasts that are slightly more developed. So this allows me to push the roast a little bit more in order to get more flavors and more sweetness, but not get any bitterness or dryness out of them, thanks to that shower screen. And the third reason why I love using this brewer is because it's designed to have no bypass. So that means that there's no water that will be on the side going through the brewer into the carafe or into the cup directly. This is particularly useful in order to have more consistent results and also more sweetness into the cup. What I also like with the Next Level Pulsar is that it's pretty versatile in terms of which papers you can use. I generally just use any type of paper filter that I like, from V60 for example, cut them in half, place them at the bottom, and then put the cylinder on top. But if you want to know which paper filters I used, I decided to use the Permate papers from Brew Methods. Now, going back to the Pulsar itself, so extremely versatile. The fact that it has this no bypass, the shower screen, and the immersion just gives pretty much like everything that you want into one brewer. So now let me give you that one recipe. So I'm using 15 grams of coffee that I ground on a very coarse grind setting, and then out of that 50 grams, I've just blown the chaff, those little like papery particles out of the coffee, which takes me down to a 14.5 gram dose. I love removing the chaff in coffee in general because it gets rid of some of the dryness and the paperiness in coffee. So 14.5 grams in, coffee goes in, and it's quite easy to level and shake. Shower screen goes on top. And we want to make sure that the valve is closed, so it's in that horizontal position. So that means that we will be in immersion mode for the first half of the brew. And I'm going to do a very easy recipe, 2 pours of 100 grams each. So I'm starting the timer, I'm pouring 100 grams of water onto that shower screen. The flow rate doesn't matter as much because it will be capped by the flow rates of the shower screen itself. So 100 gram, water is sitting there with the coffee in immersion for 1 minute 20. So I wanted to use this recipe in the competition for 2 main reasons. First, I find that we get an amazing structure and balance out of immersion brews like this. So this entire idea of doing a longer immersion in the first place and then doing a second pour afterwards with the valve open has always yielded extremely good, balanced, and well-structured results. And the second reason is also the workflow is extremely good. And in competition, that matters. Being consistent, brewing 3 coffees at the same time, and also making sure that they taste the same on stage as they did backstage or when you practice is essential to making a winning brew. So we are getting to 1 minute 20 of immersion. So minute 17, 18, 19. And what I'll do is I'll open the valve like this to release the liquid, and then I'll pour another 100 grams on top of that. So all the way to 200 in total. All right, so 200 grams exactly. And now we wait until the liquid has fully drained, which should take about 1 minute 45 to 2 minutes in total, depending on the type of roast that you're using. Now, at the beginning of the video, I explained that I was using a coarse grind size. To give you a point of reference, on a Comandante grinder, that would be the equivalent to about 33 clicks, and on an EK43, that would be easily the coarsest setting. I like using these coarser grinds in order to get more clarity of flavors, a better quality of acidity, but also reduce the bitterness and dryness. But to compensate the weakness that we get from that coarser grind, That's what I'm doing, a shorter ratio, and I'm also loading my water up with a lot of APAC slab minerals. Now, having a very mineral heavy brew allows to have a richer mouthfeel, more intensity, and allows you to brew coffees that are relatively weak, but I don't feel like that. They feel really rich, very sweet, very intense, thanks to the minerality in the water. All right, so we have our brew. And I'm brewing a Whoosh Whoosh anaerobic natural from Jonathan Gasca from Finca Zarza, a delicious coffee that I just found after this competition that could be potentially an option for the World Championship. So tasty. I find that this recipe is extremely forgiving. I find that regardless of whether you're using a washed or a natural, you're getting always really good results. So give it a shot and let us know your thoughts in the comments.